I didn't fall in love with his uniform. I fell in love with the way he listened, the way he paused before answering questions, like every word mattered, the way he never rushed me, even when the world seemed to be pulling him somewhere else. But if I'm being honest, I didn't know him at all. The night everything changed, I was standing alone in my apartment kitchen, barefoot on cold tile, staring at my phone like it had betrayed me. The message on the screen wasn't from him. It was from a number I didn't recognize. If you care about Marcus, stop asking questions. No emoji, no explanation, just a threat, wrapped in a warning. My heart dropped into my stomach because Marcus wasn't the kind of man who inspired threats. He was calm, gentle, careful, a soldier who said he worked logistics, paperwork, travel, boring stuff, he joked. But suddenly, nothing felt boring anymore. I replayed our last conversation in my head, the way he'd kissed my forehead before leaving, the way his hand lingered on mine just a second longer than usual, the way he said, "No matter what happens, trust me." At the time, I thought it was romantic. Now it sounded like goodbye. Outside, sirens echoed somewhere far away. Inside, my apartment felt too quiet. I realized something terrifying in that moment. I didn't know where he was. I didn't know what he was doing. And I didn't know who he really worked for. All I knew was that I was a Black woman who had given her heart to a man trained to keep secrets. And those secrets were no longer staying buried. I picked up my phone again, scrolled through our photos. The first one, us laughing in a coffee shop, me in my head wrap, him in plain clothes, no uniform, no rank, no clues. He had always avoided photos in uniform. I told myself it was humility. Now I wondered if it was strategy. Love makes you brave in dangerous ways, because instead of blocking the number, instead of pretending I never saw the message, I typed back, "What do you mean?" The typing bubbles appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, one last message came through. "You're already involved. You just don't know it yet." That's when I understood something that still sends chills down my spine. Falling in love with him wasn't the beginning of the story. It was the setup. And the truth about his real mission was about to change everything I thought I knew about love, loyalty, and survival. Before Marcus ever walked into my life, I was already fighting my own quiet battles. I was 32. A Black woman who had learned early how to be strong in rooms that expected me to be silent. I worked as a community outreach coordinator for a nonprofit on the south side of Atlanta. Long hours, small pay, heavy stories. The kind of job where people unload their pain onto you, and you carry it home without realizing how heavy it's become. By the time I met him, I wasn't looking for love. I was looking for peace. My days followed a rhythm. Morning coffee I never finished, traffic that tested my patience, meetings where I had to explain again why our community deserved more than leftover resources. And every night I came home to an apartment that was clean, quiet, and lonely in a way I didn't like admitting. I told myself I was independent, that love was optional. But the truth? I missed being seen. I met Marcus on a random Tuesday evening. Not a dating app, not a party, a bookstore. One of those small, almost forgotten places with wooden shelves and soft jazz playing low, like it didn't want to interrupt anyone's thoughts. I was in the history section, flipping through a book on Black women leaders, when I heard his voice behind me. That one changed how I see strength. I turned around, already prepared to brush him off. But he wasn't smirking, wasn't invading my space. He just stood there, tall, calm, hands in his jacket pockets, like he was genuinely curious what I thought. I raised an eyebrow. "Strength isn't always loud," I said. He smiled. "Exactly." That was it. No pickup line, no pressure, just understanding. We talked for almost an hour about books, about family, about the kind of tired you feel in your bones, not your body. He said he grew up moving a lot, said stability was something he learned to appreciate late in life. When I asked what he did for work, he paused, just for a second. Logistics, he said. Government related. I laughed. That sounds like a non-answer. He shrugged. Occupational hazard. It felt playful, not suspicious. Our first few dates were simple. Coffee walks, late-night diners, long conversations where time slipped away unnoticed. Marcus was different from the men I'd dated before. He didn't overtalk me, didn't flinch when I spoke about race, exhaustion, or ambition. He listened like he was storing my words somewhere important. But there were rules, unspoken ones. He never told me where he was going, just when he'd be back. He never stayed over more than 2 nights in a row. He never let me meet his friends. At first, I told myself he was just private. Some men are, especially disciplined ones. When he finally told me he was a soldier, it wasn't dramatic. We were sitting on my couch, legs touching, TV murmuring in the background. He should tell you something, he said. I muted the screen. I'm active military. I studied his face. The calm, the control. It made sense. The posture, the restraint, the way he always seemed prepared. What do you do? I asked. Support operations, he replied. Again, vague, but something in his eyes asked me not to push, so I didn't. Because love has a way of teaching you what questions to swallow. Still, there were moments, times when he'd wake up sweating, times when loud noises made his shoulders tense before he forced himself to relax. Once, while folding laundry, I found a scar on his side, thin, clean, surgical. He caught me staring. Training accident, he said quickly. I nodded, and hated myself for nodding. Despite everything, Marcus felt safe. He brought me groceries when my week was overwhelming, texted me reminders to drink water, sat quietly beside me after hard days without trying to fix me. For the first time in years, I let myself imagine a future, vacations, shared routines, someone coming home to me. That was my mistake, because while I was building dreams, Marcus was carrying a mission, and I didn't yet understand how close it was to my life. The first real crack in our reality didn't come with sirens or shouting. It came quietly, too quietly. Marcus was supposed to come over on a Friday night. Nothing special planned. Takeout, a movie neither of us would finish, the kind of night that felt earned after a long week. At 7:12 p.m., I texted him, "You close?" No response. By 8:03, my food was cold. By 8:47, something inside me felt off. Marcus was never late without warning. If his plans changed, he explained. If he disappeared, he always resurfaced. But that night, nothing. At 9:30, my phone finally buzzed. Relief hit me first, then confusion. Don't wait up. Something came up. That was it. No heart emoji, no apology, no promise to call, just a sentence that felt like a door closing. I didn't respond. I tried to tell myself I was overthinking, but my body didn't believe the lie. The next morning, I woke to the sound of someone knocking. Not a friendly knock, not a neighbor's casual tap. 3 sharp knocks, precise, controlled. I froze. Through the peephole, I saw 2 men. Plain clothes, neutral expressions, eyes that didn't wander. One of them held up a badge. My stomach dropped. "Ma'am," the taller one said when I opened the door just enough. "May we come in?" "Why?" I asked, heart racing. "We just need to ask a few questions." I stepped aside, because saying no didn't feel like an option. They didn't sit, didn't smile, didn't introduce themselves beyond last names. They asked about Marcus. How long I'd known him, how often I saw him, whether he'd mentioned travel. When I asked why, the shorter one looked at his partner before answering. Routine. I laughed, sharp and nervous. This doesn't feel routine. Neither of them reacted. Then came the question that changed everything. Has Marcus ever given you anything to hold on to for him? My chest tightened. No, I said quickly. Why would he? Another pause, another look exchanged. If he contacts you, we suggest you tell us immediately. Contacts me about what? I snapped. He met my eyes. Anything unusual. They left without another word. No explanation, no reassurance, just silence, and the echo of danger lingering in my hallway. I called Marcus the moment the door closed, straight to voicemail. Again, and again. By the fifth try, my hands were shaking. That afternoon, I noticed something else. My laptop camera light flickered on, then off. I hadn't touched it. That night, a black SUV sat across the street longer than necessary. I told myself it was paranoia, but paranoia doesn't usually come with patterns. Marcus finally showed up 2 days later, unannounced, at midnight. I opened the door and barely recognized him. His face looked harder, older, like he'd shed something human. He didn't kiss me, didn't step inside. "Are you alone?" he asked. "Yes," I whispered. "What's going on?" His jaw tightened. "I need you to listen carefully." That tone, the one that didn't invite questions. Before I could respond, headlights swept across the walls. Marcus turned sharply. "They followed me," he muttered. "Who?" I asked, panic rising. He grabbed my wrist, not rough, but urgent. "You're not safe anymore." I pulled back. "What are you talking about? Who came to my apartment, Marcus?" "2 men." His face went pale. "They were here?" "Yes." He cursed under his breath, ran a hand over his head like he was calculating something impossible. Then he did the one thing I never expected. He opened his jacket, reached inside, and pulled out a small black device. He pressed it into my hand. Cold, heavy, unfamiliar. "Do not let anyone take this," he said. My voice cracked. "What is it?" He met my eyes. And for the first time since I'd known him, Marcus looked afraid. "If you trust me," he said quietly, "you won't ask that." That was the moment, the exact second when love stopped feeling romantic and started feeling like a liability. Marcus disappeared the same way he came, fast, silent, without answers. By the time I processed what had just happened, he was already gone, melting into the night like he'd never been standing in my doorway, pressing secrets into my palm. I locked the door, checked it twice, then slid down against it, staring at the object in my hand. It wasn't big, about the size of a car key fob, matte black, no markings, no obvious buttons, but it felt important in a way I couldn't explain, like it carried weight beyond its size, like it didn't belong in my world. Sleep didn't come that night. Every sound made my chest tighten. The refrigerator humming, footsteps in the hallway, a car door slamming outside. I kept imagining men in plain clothes bursting through my door, asking the same questions, but this time with consequences. By morning, I hadn't moved from the couch. The device sat on the coffee table between me and my phone, like a line I didn't know how to cross. I didn't go to work. I texted my supervisor something vague about a family emergency. She replied with concern. I couldn't bring myself to explain. How do you tell someone you might be involved in something dangerous without sounding unstable? By noon, the knocking came back. The same pattern, 3 sharp knocks. My heart started pounding so hard, I thought I might pass out. Through the peephole, 1 man this time. Different face, same energy. "Miss Carter, we really should talk." I didn't open the door. "I already answered your questions," I said, voice shaking. "Then you know we're not here to hurt you." Something about that sentence made my stomach turn, because people who aren't planning harm don't usually need to say that. He slid a business card under the door. No logo, just a name and number. "Marcus put you in a difficult position, but you can still make this easier for yourself." I waited until his footsteps faded before picking up the card. My hands were trembling. That afternoon, my sister called. I almost didn't answer, but hearing her voice grounded me, pulled me back into myself. "Girl, you sound off. What's going on?" I stared at the walls, the windows, the device. "I can't tell you," I whispered. She went quiet, then softer. "Is it dangerous?" I swallowed. "Yes." "Then listen to me," she said. "Whatever it is, protect yourself first." I promised I would, even though I had no idea how. Marcus didn't call, didn't text, didn't explain. Every hour without him felt heavier than the last. Was he running? Was he hiding? Or was he watching me from somewhere I couldn't see? By the third day, fear had turned into anger. I replayed every moment we'd shared, every half answer, every deflection. I'd trusted him, let him into my home, my life, my heart, and now I was being followed like a suspect in someone else's story. That night, I finally turned on the device. It vibrated once, soft, almost gentle. Then my phone lit up, a number I didn't recognize, a single message. "You shouldn't have done that." My breath caught. I typed back, "Marcus?" 3 dots appeared, paused, then disappeared. The reply came from a different number. "He told us you'd be curious." That's when I realized something terrifying. Whatever Marcus was involved in, it wasn't just military. It was internal, controlled, and I was standing directly in the middle of it. I looked around my apartment, the photos, the furniture, the life I'd built. It all felt temporary now, fragile, like it could be taken away with one wrong decision. And the worst part? I still loved him. Even as fear wrapped itself around my chest, part of me believed Marcus had done this to protect me. I just didn't know if protection and betrayal could exist at the same time. The truth didn't arrive all at once. It came in pieces, fragments that forced themselves together whether I was ready or not. 2 nights after the message, my power went out. No storm, no warning, just darkness. I stood in my living room, heart pounding, phone flashlight shaking in my hand. Then my phone vibrated. A text from Marcus. "Don't panic." Tears rushed to my eyes. "Where are you?" I typed back. The reply came slowly. "Safe for now." Before I could ask another question, a file appeared on my phone. Encrypted, password protected. Another message followed. "Your mother's maiden name." My stomach dropped. I opened it. The file wasn't just information, it was evidence. Documents, audio clips, internal reports. I didn't understand everything, but I understood enough. Marcus wasn't logistics. He wasn't support. He was part of a classified domestic counterintelligence unit, one that operated quietly without oversight inside U.S. borders. And the mission? To identify potential destabilizers, activists, journalists, community organizers, people who challenged systems too effectively. People like the ones I worked with every day. My chest tightened as I scrolled, names blurred together. But then I saw it. My nonprofit's name, highlighted, flagged, under review. I dropped the phone. "No," I whispered. This wasn't possible. Marcus wouldn't. But the evidence didn't care about my feelings. Another message came through. "I was assigned to get close to you." My vision blurred. Assigned. Not fate, not coincidence. A mission. I collapsed onto the floor. The memories twisted into something unrecognizable. The bookstore, the conversations, the way he listened. Was any of it real? Or had I been studied the entire time? At first, Marcus typed, "You were a name on a list." I pressed my hand to my mouth to keep from screaming. Then I met you, and everything changed. I wanted to throw the phone across the room. Instead, I typed, "So you used me." The response took longer this time. "I disobeyed orders." He explained in messages, carefully, fragmented. The device he gave me wasn't a weapon. It was a data key, proof, evidence of illegal surveillance, racial profiling, and manipulated operations. Marcus had been collecting it quietly, waiting, for leverage, for a way out. "They knew I was compromised," he wrote, "when they saw how close we got. The men at my door, the SUV, the messages. They weren't protecting me, they were monitoring me, in case I became a liability." My hands shook as I typed, "Why me?" His answer came immediately. "Because you have integrity, and because they'd never believe a Black woman from a nonprofit would expose them. That sentence hurt more than everything else combined. I stared at the walls of my apartment, at the life I'd worked so hard to build, and understood the cruel irony. I had been chosen because they underestimated me. "I'm sorry," Marcus wrote. "I never meant to make you a target." I closed my eyes. Love and betrayal pressed against each other in my chest, impossible to separate. Then one final message appeared. "They're coming for the data. If they get it, people disappear. You decide what happens next." I looked at the device on my table, at the truth it held, at the danger wrapped around it. For the first time in my life, I wasn't just fighting for myself. I was standing at the edge of something bigger, something that would cost me safety, but might save others. And in that moment, I understood. Marcus's real mission wasn't the one he was given, it was the one he chose. I didn't make the decision all at once. I sat with it, let it weigh on me like gravity, because once I acted, there would be no going back. I called in sick again, closed the blinds, packed a small bag, not because I planned to run, but because I needed to be ready if staying became impossible. The device sat wrapped in a scarf at the bottom of my bag, like a secret I could still choose to protect or destroy. I didn't tell my sister the truth. I couldn't, but I sent her an email, scheduled, in case something happened to me. No details, just love, just goodbye disguised as gratitude. Marcus messaged once more. "Whatever you choose, I'll respect it." I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I replied, "You don't get to disappear after this." A pause. "I won't," he said. "Not anymore." I reached out to someone I trusted, a journalist I'd worked with years ago, Black, relentless, careful, the kind of woman who knew systems silenced people like us. I didn't give her everything, just enough to get her attention. Her response came fast. "If this is real, it changes everything." I told her where to meet me. Public place, cameras, witnesses. The exchange happened in daylight, a cafe filled with noise and movement. I slid the device across the table like it was nothing. My heart was pounding so hard I thought I might pass out. She didn't touch it right away, just looked at me. "Are you sure?" she asked. "No," I said honestly, "but I'm certain." She nodded. And that was that. The fallout was immediate. Within days, stories broke. Not names, not yet, but patterns, surveillance, targeting, quiet intimidation of Black-led organizations. People denied it, officials deflected, but the truth had momentum now, and momentum is dangerous to those who rely on silence. Marcus vanished again. This time I knew why. This time it felt different, less like abandonment, more like sacrifice. My phone buzzed one last time from an unknown number. "You did the right thing." I didn't reply. I didn't need to. I moved, changed routines, learned how to live alert without living afraid. Some nights fears still crept in, but something else lived there too now. Pride, strength, choice. Love didn't save me. I saved myself. Love just showed me what I was willing to risk. I don't talk about Marcus anymore, not because I've forgotten him, but because some stories aren't meant to be spoken out loud. They live in the quiet. Months have passed since everything came apart. My life looks normal from the outside. New apartment, new routines, same work, different awareness. I still walk into rooms where people underestimate me, still smile politely while carrying truths they'll never see coming. The difference now? I know my power. Sometimes, late at night, I think about the woman I was before him, the one who believed love was something that happened to you. I was wrong. Love is a choice. So is courage. So is walking away from comfort to protect something bigger than yourself. I never heard Marcus's voice again, but once, just once, I saw a familiar figure across a crowded street. Same walk, same posture. Our eyes didn't meet, and maybe that was mercy. The stories that came after, they mattered, Organizations changed how they moved. People became more careful, more aware. Nothing was fixed, but something was cracked open, and sometimes that's how change starts. I used to think being a Black woman meant carrying strength quietly. Now I understand something deeper. Our stories are powerful because they're lived, because we survive systems designed to erase us, because even when love betrays us, we rise. If you're listening to this and wondering what you would have done, I won't pretend there was an easy answer. There wasn't. But I will say this: trust your intuition, protect your truth, and never underestimate the impact of your voice, because the truth didn't just change my life, it changed everything.